Hey everyone, Guru here, and this video is going to be a little different than my usual videos because I want to talk about something that's happening that is very, very important, and that is the typhoon, or to be more accurate, the super typhoon that has hit our eastern brothers and sisters in the Philippines and is causing a lot of havoc. Now, if you know about this, you probably have seen the videos, whether it be on YouTube, on the news, or even just floating around Twitter, showing just how serious this situation is for everybody in the Philippines. And I, for one, I think I speak for all of us when I say this, is that I am very, very moved and I am motivated to be able to help the people that I have been creating such a strong relationship with over the last year of being in Axie Infinity and NFTs altogether. So, if you don't know about this already, there is a super typhoon that has actually hit land in the Philippines. It's specifically targeted a little bit more in the southern regions. I know that Cebu City is one that has been hit very hard. A lot of people in that region in general, though, have been affected in a very, very big way, whether it be their homes being completely destroyed or even just their lives being uprooted and some of their normal amenities or utilities that they use being completely unavailable. Well, one of the positive things, and it's hard to think of a positive in this situation, but one of the positive things that really warmed my heart was how quickly the Axie Infinity community specifically stood up without hesitation and said, look, we're here for you. We're going to support you, our Filipino family, with this and make sure that we're there to provide, whether it be in funding, just natural support, be on ground actually helping people, providing shelter, food, water, or just being there in, whether it be in America or whether it be in Europe, just being there for you emotionally, being there to support and spread awareness on that. So that is one of my major reasons for making this video, is that I want to spread a little bit more awareness, but then also I've had a lot of people reach out to me or seen a lot of people reach out on Twitter saying, hey, look, I want to help, but how do I help? Well, what I'm going to do is I've talked to a lot of people who are actually helping, and I've done research with some of the leaders in the space, and I want to give you guys a little bit of guidance or at least a hub to be able to be informed about who is doing what and where you might want to support or who you might want to support with their particular endeavors. So stick with me here while I go over a few of the organizations that are making big changes, taking donations, and also some key figures that are really helping this movement. So we're going to start with some of the big organizations that are taking donations and actually utilizing those funds to provide support to all the people in the Philippines who have been affected. The very first one is one that I'm sure many of you who are in the Axie community know very well and have probably already seen on Twitter talking about what they're doing for the Filipino people in this time of need, and that is YGG. Also known as Yield Guild Games, they are one of the first and biggest Axie Infinity guilds that ran a scholarship program in the Axie Infinity space. Well, YGG Filipinas specifically, I'll make sure that I have a link down below for all of you guys that want to actually look into this. They are running probably one of the biggest operations of relief right now. They are taking a lot of donations, and I believe at this point in time, they've had, $200,000 to $300,000 American dollars in donations, which is amazing. That really amazing to see that much come together so quickly, and they are utilizing that to provide support in the means of actually rebuilding. So they are of course going to be giving people the necessities that they need, but a primary focus for them, and one of the reasons why of course they are running such a large relief operation, is that they want to look at the rebuilding side of things. There are countless people whose entire homes have been destroyed. So YGG is going to be one of the communities or organizations in this case that is going to be focusing on rebuilding after the typhoon damage has already been done and people are now needing a place to stay, or just rebuilding their lives in general. Another really big organization to talk about here is Merit Circle. Merit Circle is actually a big DAO that runs a very sizable scholarship program, and they are also taking donations, linked down below as always, to help with a slightly different focus on this one. They're going to be providing a lot of food and water, just necessities of life to people who need it. I know that they are probably going to be focusing most of it in the Cebu area, and they are going to be, doing what they can to help rebuild homes, but really being there on the front lines to help people with food and water and making sure that everybody has what they need to be healthy and actually be safe. Okay, now we're obviously going to be getting into a little bit more of a mainstream one, and this is the Red Cross itself. So if you live anywhere in the world, you're probably no stranger to this organization. They've been doing this absolutely everywhere, but specifically the Red Cross for the Philippines, or PH Red Cross, is going to be actually helping in a variety of different ways. Now, usually Red Cross is going to be working with the government officials and government units to be able to actually go out and spread their support on a much wider spectrum, because they're going to be focusing on general safety, evacuation, recovery, food and water, probably a little bit of rebuilding, but they're going to be really government focused. Now, one thing to say here as a disclaimer is that although Red Cross is usually a very safe place to be able to donate, because you do know that they are actually obligated to use those funds, that it can be a little bit more difficult for your funds to go as far as they could if you would put them in the hands of somebody who's a little bit more directly on ground helping people who need it. Red Cross is a lot more institutionalized, so if you do want to make sure that you know what's happening with your funds and that they're going to a good cause, it might not be for you, but if you want to just be able to support and you want to be very comfortable in where your money, or your donation in this case, is going, they're a very good choice. So I'll have links down below to their official website. They don't have a tweet or an ETH address, so you will have to donate in a traditional manner, but I'll make sure that you have the correct links so you know where to go. All right, now we're going to talk about a few people who are a little bit more self-starter, and they're representing some movements. Now, a lot of these people are going to be community leaders, well known specifically in the Axie Infinity space, and they are also taking donations to make a difference in their local areas or with their local demographics to go out and help people who have been affected. Now, the first one, she is definitely a very well-known figure in the space, and her heart is made of gold, I swear, because she's always looking out for the best of all of her Filipino people, and that is Axie Queen, TQ. Most people know her. She's a wonderful person who is also part of the Axie Miss Toy Drive, and she right now is taking donations to help a lot in her local area. She's going to be focusing on actually getting these necessities of life, like food and water, to all the people who need them. So obviously it's going to be a little bit more close-knit, but if you want to work with her, you can reach out to her, or you can just refer to the tweet I'm going to link down below, where she does give the information on where all of the donations will be going, and she's going to be using them to help all the people that she knows in her local community, making sure that they're safe and well looked after in this time of need. All right, and now here's another community, well, I would say just leadership figure in general, and that is, of course, Nixtape. So Nixtape is somebody that I know quite well. You know, I've been interacting with him quite a lot on Twitter, and he is somebody who has definitely garnered a lot of eyes and a lot of support from the Filipino community. Well, I was talking to him recently, and he's actually running and working with a little bit more of an official organization, specifically a well-known figure in his church, to be able to acquire funds and use them for what they believe is going to be a little bit more of an important focus due to his experience as a volunteer. So they are going to be taking funds. Again, I'll have the tweet down below with the official address that you can send to, or at least reach out to him. And they're going to be taking funds and bringing them in, and then holding off for a little bit from the initial first wave of support that goes out, and then going to identify the groups or demographics that have not been reached out to and were not a first response priority, and they're going to be specifically going out to them to make sure that nobody's forgotten. So this obviously is a really good idea that comes from experience of working in this kind of situation, so I do trust obviously that they know what they're doing. But regardless, of course, you guys gotta go do your own research. Feel free to check out the tweet, his profile, or reach out to Nix as well to hear a little bit more about what he is doing. Know that they're going to make a big difference. So again, smaller scale, but very impactful, and with the experience to go with it. Definitely somebody to be looking into. So, last but certainly not least, I have a very special guest with me today. Now, he does not really need introduction, but regardless, I have Jeff Serlin with me, aka the Jiho. He is the co-founder and head of growth at Axie Infinity, and I just felt like there was no better person to bring on to talk about this than Jiho himself. So, I mean, Jiho, I know that also you have been supporting a lot. I've seen what you've been doing on Twitter, you know, the donations you put out. Thank you for that, by the way. I know that it's made a big difference, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, you know, get your opinion on everything, because I'm sure you have your own opinion on it, and I'd love to have your voice heard. And then if there's anything Axie Infinity is doing, I'd love for you to share that too, so people could get behind it.
Sure. So this week was a very difficult one for the entire Axie community, right? With this devastating typhoon that's ravaged and created a lot of chaos in the Philippines, right? Like destroyed property, massive floods. It was really painful, I think, for us to see what was happening, right? Like obviously over 30% of our players, our citizens, are from the Philippines, so it's kind of near and dear to our heart. I think like we're a global community, and I think everyone who's in the Axie community is basically kind of felt like they've become very attached to the Filipino people. So I saw that this was happening. I felt like almost helpless for a little bit, right? Like, what can we do? How can I help? And yeah, I think in situations like this, I try to lead by example. So, I just kind of asked, how I could help, decided that I was going to donate at least 10 ETH to the relief efforts. And yeah, it was really amazing and I wanted it to be really organic, I think, and I was really glad to see, community leaders step up to start, kind of fundraising for different initiatives, right? Whether that's rebuilding home and property or distribution of supplies, right? Like we saw, just so many community leaders, I'm almost hesitant to start naming them because I know that I'm going to miss a few. But right, I think everyone knows, and I think you'll kind of touch on this through your video, but we just saw an incredible outpouring of support from community leaders and the community, and we saw everyone has had some way that they could help, whether it was by donating, but even if you're short of funds, there are people who are just spreading the word, retweeting, commenting, sending strength and prayers. So I think it was an example of what's happening with the Axie community, how it's really transcending this notion that it's, a cute digital pet game, right? It's obviously, for the people who've been around in the community, we know that it's so much more. It's a blossoming digital nation. And I think it's kind of been a trend, actually, right? Like during the COVID pandemic, right? It was like Axie came and became this safety blanket for so many people, right? Mm-hmm. Providing this alternate stream of income for people who are really suffering, right? And then I think this is, a new step, right? A new direction where, right, during a crisis, during a new type of crisis, we also saw the community kind of come to the aid of the people. So I think this is just we're starting to see this trend where digital communities, online grassroots communities, are starting to have huge real world impact. And I think it's important. I think it's an important story. I think it shows that this technology is about way more than just making money and speculation. It's really about creating global social bonds between anyone anywhere in the world.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's amazing. And, I've been in the NFT space for a while. As of you, we've seen a lot that's happened. And we might not be the only group that's doing charity-focused movements, but I will say I've never seen another digital community step up to this level like Axie has done and quite literally start running an operation that, rivals the Red Cross itself. That is incredible. I think that if they're not already, I'm guaranteeing you the news outlets are going to be probably touching on this because it's incredible. It's not something we ever thought was possible. So thank you, by the way, for sharing it. It's really nice to hear your opinion of it. I know you kind of see things from up here from a lot of people's perspective, but what people don't realize is what you see regardless out on Twitter, maybe in your Discord communities, that's what's happening, right? That is really what is going on. All these leaders are doing exactly what they're talking about on Twitter. We're not just posting for clout. We're quite literally going out there. I know the MTTM community, I'm sure you'll like this because we were in the Axie toy drive. We went out and we outfitted people with even more. We said, look, toys aren't enough. We want you guys to bring food, water. We want you guys to be able to, help people who need it. So it was amazing. But I've got one more question for you. Is there anything else that you know of that maybe isn't as mainstream or anything else Axie's doing that people might be wanting to potentially look into to help support? Or is everything pretty much on Twitter right now and most of it's public?
Yeah, I think that the community leaders are doing a great job of directing people's efforts and funding. Definitely, right, stay up to date. I think Twitter is definitely where a lot of this information is getting spread and transmitted through the network, through the hive mind. So yeah, I think if you want to help, I think there are a bunch of different ways. So yeah, I think it really, we want this to be right. This came organically from the Axie community. I think it's not necessarily right. I think I wouldn't have felt as good, or I don't know, it might not have had the impact if it was something where I don't know, where Axie ourselves were taking the donations and doing it. Like, I think it has been good that it's been more decentralized, and kind of there have been a variety of different options, and we're allowing kind of the community leaders to step up themselves, right? Like this is right, like long term, right? Like Axie is not going to be able to survive if like Sky Mavis has to coordinate everything, right? Like we need the community to become almost like self-reliant, right? That means also, like, obviously Sky Mavis, we have to be strong, leaders and lead by example. But I think, like, in terms of the coordination, I was really happy to see the guilds and content creators and everyone really step up.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to ask, Jeff, really appreciate it. I don't want to take too much of your time here. Just really wanted to get your feedback and put it out there. So thank you once again for coming by. If there's anything else you want to say in closing, feel free. But otherwise, just want to really put my thanks out there from me and the whole MTTM and Axie Infinity community. You've done a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, man. I'm a big admirer of what you've been able to accomplish. That's a sick plushie, the Mako down there. So, I guess you gotta have a katana too. Like, is that because of katana? Like, that's pretty sick. I'll just assume that it is.
Yeah. I got two actually. There's one right there too. Right beside me.
No, thanks for everything that you're doing. And this was a really tough week for the community, but I think hopefully people come out of it understanding that, right, they have this entire community that's rooting for them, that's praying for them, that's thinking of them and trying to help them, at least in a really dark hour.
Agreed. All right. Well, thank you once again. Really appreciate it. For everyone else, we're going to get back to it, but I hope you guys can show some love in the comments for Jihoz as well. It was really great to have him on. So thank you once again, my man. Much appreciated.
Very much love, man.
Hope you enjoyed that little conversation with myself and Jiho. I was really happy to hear what he had to say about everything, because when everything had started, the first person who was a very substantial individual in the space that I saw stand up was him. He was not only spreading awareness, but also put out a very sizable donation. And, in all honesty, no matter what you think about Jiho, I know there's a lot of mixed opinions out there. That particularly really earns him a lot of respect. So I hope you guys show him some love for that. Really appreciate what he's done. But he's not the only one that I think deserves a shout out here. There's also another couple people I really want to shout out before this video is over and we go into the closing statements. First things first, Spike. Axie Spike, huge shout out, man. He has been an absolute lifesaver in this scenario, because not only was he already well connected and running the Axie toy drive, but when this all happened, he shifted gears and turned into a little bit more of a coordinator and a provider of information. He connected with all of the people he knew, wanted to know what was going on and who was handling what as far as the operation went. And you know what? He actually supplied a lot of the information that I used in this video. So big shout out, Spike. Love you, my man. Keep it up. Another big shout out I want to put out here is the Axie Toy Drive people. I know that a lot of them ended up going above and beyond to really put this huge impact and life-changing opportunity out there, and also even bringing some food and water with them in the areas where it was needed. We have them still on ground providing toys for all the kids, just as we had said before, but now they're going a step above, and they're really being there for people in the need, because they were already coordinated, right? We already had groups of people, and I really just want to shout them all out. Big shout out to the MTTM team for sure. Yakult, you and the guys are doing a great job. I saw the amazing pictures and the results of what you guys had done. So love you guys. Keep that up as well. Okay, that all wrapped up. Now let's talk about content creators. This is going to be my closing statement in this regard, because I am one. We are also doing what we can. I know that there is a lot of creators out there, streamers in particular, who are running charity streams. We've got Extra Rai who's done it. I know that there was a big streamathon that happened with Stark, Mystic Scholars, who lost his hair, by the way. It was a lot of fun. We've also got people like Whale Scholars or Super Whale on board, Geometrica. It's really nice to see everybody come together and just do what they can. I as well am going to be helping by supporting, not only with the specific event linked to this video, the retweet to donation event that I have going on, make sure you check that out, but I will also be doing what I can by doing a charity stream later on as well. I'm going to choose a new scary game, which I know you guys all enjoy watching us play, and I'm going to play it and donate all the proceeds to the relief effort as well. So we're doing what we can, and I hope that this can not only inform, but also motivate you all to get involved and help when things like this happen as well. It doesn't have to be big, you don't have to put big donations in, but anything helps, so do your part. And I also hope it shows exactly how powerful that our little community of Axie Infinity community leaders and members is in the eyes of the world when something like this happens. We have shown that we are not just a simple group of gamers in here for profit. We're in here to look after our family. So I'm super proud of everybody who's been involved. You know, you guys deserve a pat on the back for that. So love you all for doing that. Keep it up. And yes, wrapping it up there. Stay informed on Twitter. That's where most of this is happening, as Jihoz said. If you have any questions, throw them in the comment. Make sure to like and subscribe this video if you did as well, and share the tweet on Twitter as well. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Until next time.